Welcome, Flames Nation, to another installment of Tuesdays with Trevor. Joining me today is senior middle blocker, Kana Williams. Kana, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Tell us where you're from and a little bit about your family.
Okay, so I'm from Canyon Lake, Texas, right outside of San Antonio, Texas. Others would say I'm from Indiana, but I moved to Texas when I was really young, and so I bleed Texas. I eat tacos, that's all so Texas all the way. I live out in the country. My family is pretty tight. We have a really strong faith. My parents have built a really solid foundation with all of us kids. I'm a family of 6. I have one older sister, a younger brother, and younger sister. And my great-grandparents live with us as well, my great-grandma now. And we have about 50 chickens. And that is a fun fact that I always like to bring up. I always say that chickens are like the dogs of birds. They are kind of birds of habit, so you can call them, they'll get used to the kind of calls that you have for them. They eat anything, and they kind of like being pet if you getting used to human touch enough, so.
Remember us trying to catch them when we went to your house.
Yeah.
That was like the highlight of our trip. What's it like growing up in a strong, competitive family? Obviously with your brother at Wyoming and your sister, both sisters are super athletic. What's that like growing up in that family?
It's great. Having the competition kind of pushed all of us into greatness. For my older sister, she's super athletic, but she got hurt younger, and so she wasn't able to pursue her athletic career like a lot of us, like me and my brother and my younger sister have. It started with my older sister. Actually it started with my parents. They're both two really athletic people, and they've just instilled competitiveness and pursuit of greatness inside of us, and so it's been fun. Family game nights can be a little excessive as far as competitiveness. We don't really play Uno anymore. But it's great. Even with all the competitiveness that we have in our sport and with each other, my parents have instilled like a really healthy version of it. I feel like at times in a family and on teams, there can be a little bit of like a competitive comparison. And even though that happens occasionally, my parents have set a really solid foundation and just allowing us to know like what we are competing for. It's to be great and to be great for the Lord. And at the end of the day, we don't really need to compare ourselves with my brother or my sister or anything like that, but more so just focusing on why we are pursuing success and pursuing greatness, and that's just for the Lord, so it's been great.
Amen, I love it. In the recruiting process, you had some pretty big name schools that were after you. What was it about Liberty that just made you choose Liberty?
There were actually a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons, and I feel like a lot of people have said this, but it's the people. You really don't get the kind of friendliness and open Christian environment anywhere else. And that's one thing that I loved. As much as the bigger names seem pretty cool and starry-eyed, we also have great facilities, which is amazing. The people, the team is amazing. When I met the team, I just felt really comfortable. It felt like home the minute I got here. And I was telling you earlier, I got here on like a really cold, rainy day when I was on my recruiting visit, and I still fell in love with it just because of how great the people are, how great the team is, the facilities, just the Christian base aspect of the university itself is what really drew me in.
Awesome. Last question. 2019, you had a devastating injury, sidelined for several months and worked your way back, had to redshirt last year. Tell us a little bit about that process for you, and then what are you looking forward to the most this spring season?
That was a really difficult process for me. At that time in my athletic career, I felt like the ball was kind of in my court. I felt like I was kind of rising into my senior year, feeling really confident. And I kind of got God checked, I feel like, where he was like, hey, the ball doesn't need to be in your court, you don't need to be in control. I'm gonna take this away from you for the time being, and you're gonna figure out what you can control and also like how to grow your faith and become a better teammate outside of just being on the court. And so from a mental standpoint, it was probably the most difficult thing I've ever gone through. And I was expecting it to be a little bit more difficult physically than mentally, but it was the complete opposite. But it was great because I was able to see volleyball and the program from more of a coach's perspective, and being on the sidelines and seeing what the athletes on the court weren't seeing, and it kind of grew my volleyball IQ and my respect for the coaches and the program leaders. Yeah, I was able to connect with my teammates in a way that I was never really able to before, never even thought about before. I led through just my voice, and I couldn't really lead through my athletic abilities, and I think that brought me closer with a lot of my teammates as well. Yeah, I'm really excited for this new season. Due to COVID, losing this fall season was really difficult just because I had waited so long, and I know every athlete who's lost their season during this pandemic has felt the devastation of that. But for me, I just felt like it hurt a little bit more. And so I'm really excited for this spring, knowing that we do have a date, January 22nd, to start playing again. And every single practice kind of adds a little bit more purpose to why we're practicing, knowing that like there is a date, there is a reason why we're practicing, and we're still in an off season and stuff like that. So I'm just excited to start competing again. It's been almost 2 years since I've played against another team, and so I'm really excited to just look across the court and see a different colored jersey.
Me too. Kena, I'm excited for you, and I know it's going to be a special year, not only for you, but for this program. So thank you for joining us. Thanks again, Flames Nation, for tuning in. Until next time, go Flames.